I'm going to go ahead and take 6 more of these games. Knicks-Pacers. Thank you for a good show.
Thank you
for a good show. Knicks get game 1, 121-117. What a fourth quarter, and what a game for Jalen Brunson, who had 43 points. There's so many things to go over from this game. It was insane. What's kind of your biggest takeaways jumping here to start this?
I was not expecting the Pacers to look like this. I thought maybe later on in this series, like they would understand what they needed to do. They would set the pace, play with more of their identity. Oh no, they were setting the pace. They were playing their game, pushing the shit out of the basketball on a make, on a miss. It didn't matter. They were pushing up the floor. I thought they did such a tremendous job of that in really just giving it to the New York Knicks until finally the Knicks toward the end, their guys were stepping up. They took back control and made sure to make it more of their game. They were being physical. They played more ISO ball with Jalen Brunson. Sometimes I don't like that. I want you to go away from that. And other times I'm like, why? You can always rely on that man. So, yeah, there's a lot to go over in this game. But I think my first thing was like, all right, Pacers, thank you.
Yeah, I was a little worried about the Pacers entering a game 1.
Sure.
Right? It's Madison Square Garden. You know, there's so much hype.
There's newness.
The Knicks are playing. Yeah. This is a new thing for them. They're coming off a series against a Bucks team who was pretty shorthanded.
Yes.
The Pacers responded in this one. And I loved how the bench competed. And I think that's something to take away that I look at.
The bench, yes.
The Pacers bench outscored the Knicks 46-3 in this game. And we circled that as like a point going into the series. Like, hey, the Pacers have some depth here. You know, Tom Thibodeau may need to lean into his a little bit more. Well, obviously, Tom Thibodeau leaned on his stars in the second half, but I thought TJ McConnell was wrecking the New York Knicks in this game. He was pushing in transition nonstop, a pest. Whether it was defensively, they're just trying to inbound the ball, and he's on a Knicks ball handler. He's ready to knock the ball out of bounds. He was just nonstop out there.
I love what he had to add. And I think when you look at his game and you think of him being such a pest out there, but then also being able to contribute on the offensive end, because if he was out there when Tyrese Haliburton was out there, for example, at the same time, it's, hey, Haliburton's our threat. We're going to make sure our defense is shifting toward him. We're going to let some other guys get some other opportunities, maybe sag off them a little bit. And with TJ, it was like he was just doing his thing where he was attacking the paint. He only attempted 1 3-point shot. He missed it. But a fantastic job from TJ. Can we just go there? Why wasn't he in late in this one?
Yeah, he played like 2.5 minutes in the fourth quarter. And it's crazy to be like, you didn't play TJ McConnell in the fourth quarter of a playoff game? It's like, no, but if you watched his impact, it was felt. Like, agreed. I felt like the Pacers looked their best tonight when TJ McConnell was on the floor. He had 18 points in this game.
Yeah.
He was 9 of 16 shooting. And right now with what's happening with Tyrese Haliburton, his back must be a major factor because Tyrese was not even looking to score.
No.
Haliburton finishes with 6 points. He had 8 assists. He had 4 steals, a big one late. He had 3 big turnovers in the fourth quarter. He was just 2 of 6 shooting. He took 1 shot in the second half. And to me, that just doesn't add up. Yes, the Knicks were definitely focused on him sure.
They were.
But like, let's be honest. There's something more going on, and it has to be the back. That's the only explanation I have for him not being aggressive. He only took 1 shot attempt in the paint tonight.
It's wild. It's wild to think about because there's so many times, even when that switch, and it would be Hartenstein that would come up on him.
In that first quarter.
You and I are like, take his ass all the way to the rack. Not taking him off the dribble. Now, we've seen Tyrese not be able to take a lot of people off the dribble.
But that's Hartenstein. He should be able to attack that.
That's one crossover, get him to go the other way, boom.
And that's the thing. Even if it's not going all the way to the cup, it's collapsing the defense, spraying out, which he's such a gifted passer. We saw some of those passes tonight. That is an issue if that's bugging him because he was so passive in this one. And they were denying him the ball, but there were multiple times where he wasn't even touching the rock on offensive possessions tonight for the Pacers. So if he's out there, he needs to be more of a threat in some way. And that's the challenge. You know, we've seen the wrap on his back. It's constantly being heated. You saw it during the interview. It was all wrapped up. He's dealt with the back.
But it's kind of like you're saying too, there were times where he still posed as a threat, as just being that manager out there and being able to be that guy that, like, maybe it would be the hockey assist, right? He started something, even if it wasn't with him attacking the paint necessarily. It was still just one great skip pass that would lead to something else. Great. I get it. But you're just expecting more. It's not like you just look at the box score and you're like, I need more points from Tyrese Haliburton. It was, you watch this game and you need more from your leader in Tyrese Haliburton.
And tonight they saved the game because the bench was big. Can you count on the bench doing that every game this series? I don't think so.
You don't think Obi Toppin can do between the legs, under the legs, whatever the shit dunk that was in
Was
transition?
that the best dunk in the game? Because Obi Toppin had that one in transition between his legs dunk on the break, or Aaron Nesmith coming off the dribble and dunking on Mitchell Robinson.
Oh my God. Both those
There's
dunks,
so many moments in this game.
So nasty. So nasty.
But they got a lot from TJ McConnell, who didn't play a lot down the stretch. Isaiah Jackson, I felt like, gave them a huge lift. And that's not one that, I think we were even thinking about. I was like, Isaiah Jackson could have an impact. But he brought instant energy. And one thing that just popped for me, especially in that first half, was every time down, this guy was sprinting his ass back on offense.
Yep.
And that
running his lane.
It was beautiful, and he got some easy looks because of it. He was good on the glass. He held the Knicks in check, helping out on the glass, just with his presence out there, his energy. I thought he was great.
Yeah, 3 blocks and then 5 rebounds, right? So, like, you look at his stat line off the bench with someone that you were just expecting to maybe add that extra energy, but instead contributed in so many other ways within the box score. So, yeah, him running the floor because they have such a fast-paced offense. They just run the shit out of that basketball. It was great to see that he got rewarded for running the bench. Tremendous job. Like we said, I know Obi Toppin had that really nice dunk in transition. I think that's an understatement. But him also adding those 12 points, those 2 3-pointers made, just some big moments, some momentum shifters, especially when it felt like the Knicks were down in some of those quarters.
And that's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm being overreactionary here, okay?
It's game 1.
But we just talked about how impactful their bench was. Obi Toppin was 5 of 7, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. TJ McConnell, his impact. He also had 3 steals out there, right? He's just a pest defensively. The Knicks didn't really have an answer. Isaiah Jackson's energy. Hell, even Ben Shepherd had some nice moments. Well, late in this game, these guys weren't playing. Fourth quarter, Toppin gets 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
TJ plays 2:41. Jackson plays 5 minutes, 5 seconds. So he got a little more burn. And then Ben Shepherd, 2:35. It just seemed like those guys were posing a problem for the Knicks.
Sure.
And you went away from them. And I'm not even making the case that all those guys should have been playing late game, right? Of course, you're going to have Haliburton out there. You're going to have Siakam. Turner needs to play. And that Haliburton-Turner pick and roll had some issues. They were posing some big-time issues for the Knicks at points in this game and really for teams all year. But I would have loved to see more TJ in this game.
So if you're putting in TJ, are you taking out Nembhard?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe, because guess what? You got to guard him, too.
And the only reason why I even suggest Nembhard, because I go, there's just so many little chaotic moments that maybe if you were trusting TJ a little bit more, even though Nembhard always brings that toughness
He had some
out
good
there.
moments in the fourth, too.
Yeah. No, so it's Deuce. I mean, look, you can look at that fourth quarter and go and see who you wanted to actually play from that second unit for the Indiana Pacers. But at the same time, the Knicks gave the Pacers so many different opportunities there late in this game to come back in it. You look at Jalen Brunson there at the end. I know they had that call in the backcourt where it was off of, I believe it was Nembhard's leg or foot, and it went out of bounds. Okay, great. But Tibbs was pissed that he even had to challenge it because he's like, Josh Hart, come back and help his ass. Like, what are we doing, you guys? And then once they did advance the basketball because they won the challenge, then they just pass it back to Jalen Brunson, who gets stuck against the sideline and has to throw it off Tyrese Haliburton, but it bounces back off of him. Great call by Zach Zarba going the other way. And it's just these opportunities, I felt like the Pacers didn't do a great job capitalizing on everything, at least.
Let's talk about the play after.
What was the play after?
The Miles Turner illegal screen on Dante DiVincenzo.
Yes.
Man, I'll tell you, watching the NBA, and I'm sure a lot of you guys who are watching games all the time, how many illegal screens you see in a game. There, to me, was nothing about that screen that looked like, oh my God, that is no doubt about it, an illegal screen. It felt like, to me, a tough call in that moment. DiVincenzo did a hell of a job selling it. That felt like a tough call to make in that situation.
And even them challenging it too. It's like, you're just not going to win that challenge at that point, because it's not even that it's marginal contact. I think Zach Zarba ended up saying it was, not allowing the defender to get through, whatever the hell the actual terminology was of that call and why it was not going to be overturned. I understood it, especially from the video that is there. But at the same time, it's like, this is the playoffs. People are going to be physical and like make
where's
a
the line?
screen.
The thing you have to figure out is the consistency of it. Like, if you're going to call that, I was just still amazed at the call where Brunson blocked Turner. And on the first replay and second replay, I'm like, oh, he got him with the body. That's a foul.
Yeah.
And I was shocked that the Knicks challenged it, and they won the challenge. And Zarba says it's marginal contact. I'm like, okay. But then you call the illegal screen. So those are the plays that, for me, just leave me perplexed a little bit. Going, I'm not really sure about that one. And it was a shame that the game kind of ended that way, because I felt like the final, 3.5. Well, the whole game was just fun, but the final 3.5, it was like heating up, big plays, defensive moments left and right, some big shots by Brunson. You're like, I just want to see the Pacers get another chance. Yep. Let's see what the Knicks can do on defense. And that call was made, and then that was pretty much the game at that point.
And then Nembhard obviously had that wraparound on Brunson that sent, and it was, the ball wasn't even inbounded, so it sent Brunson to the line, and they got the ball back. So there was just moments like that at the end that I thought the Pacers didn't do a very good job on capitalizing, just making sure that they were trying to play a little bit more perfect basketball there at the end. Maybe they needed other guys to step up. I loved the matchup between OG and Pascal Siakam throughout this one, though. I thought Siakam did a great job going at OG and playing some defense on OG as well.
Yeah, and OG had some nice defensive moments late in this game too, coming up with some big steals late. Yeah.
That's one on Haliburton.
One of the things, I think a lot of Pacers fans are going to be feeling that Turner call and be frustrated with it. But one thing I'm going to point to, the fourth quarter, the turnovers. In this game, Indiana, 8 turnovers.
Great.
Not a bad number.
No.
5 in the fourth quarter.
There you go.
And those turned into 10 points. And they felt just so big. The one with Haliburton, too lazy with the ball, not protecting it, with OG roaming around. OG just picked the pocket, led to an OG dunk, gets the crowd back into it. He had another turnover on a miscommunication, him and Turner, it looked like, and the ball was just kind of floated out there. That's crushing. And these are the moments, late game execution, on the road, tough environment, you got to lock in. Unfortunately, Haliburton had those 2 bad turnovers in that situation.
And look, what can you turn around and learn from game 1 if you're the Pacers? And with that late game execution, you're playing against such a physical team like the New York Knicks, where they're going to be relentless. And speaking of relentless, Josh effing Hart. I mean, that guy, he does not stop. The man does not stop. And there was times where I want to know how many offensive rebounds he ended up finishing up with, because I go, why aren't the Pacers putting a body on this man by now? I mean, you should be seeking him out, putting your body on him, and boxing out like just an old school fundamental drill at that point of the game.
He had 4 offensive rebounds. And, the second half, the first half wasn't much of an issue. The Pacers were kind of matching the Knicks at that point. The second half, it was different. 3 of those offensive rebounds from Josh Hart came in the second half. And you could notice it from the start of the third quarter. The Knicks were coming out with a different approach. I felt like they were dictating the pace a little more, like you were saying. But it's going to Josh Hart. I mean, I don't know what more to say about it. We've experienced it firsthand watching him against Sacramento this year.
Son of a bitch.
You can't teach what he has.
No.
And there's relentlessness, there's a desire, there's a thirst, there is just a knack for the ball.
Yes.
The guy's 6'4".
Yes.
He's 6'4". Someone in our Discord said it best. It's like, he is like a 6'4" Dennis Rodman. It's like, yeah, he plays all the minutes. How many minutes did Josh Hart end up playing in this one? Josh Hart ends up playing 48 minutes.
Jesus.
He played every single minute of this game, had 24 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists. And how about the one where he missed the free throw, got his own rebound, put it up. I actually thought he got fouled. Should have been an and one. Scored the bucket. He was amazing.
And there was another moment where he drove it all the way down. Like they were looking for something and he drove it down and then stayed composed in the air and still found a way to finish the basket. It was like the way that he was crafty and his ability to finish at the rim still and to finish in this game, finishing with his 24 points. I just thought it was absolutely amazing what he had to add. Not on both ends of the floor, just everywhere on the basketball floor.
Him in transition is disgusting.
He turns on the Jets. We talked about this in our game preview. We go, okay, I know the Pacers like to play fast, but Josh Hart, he can match it. And every time he did, Deuce, something good came out of it for the New York Knicks.
He was just massive. Second chance points in the second half, 13-2 in favor of the Knicks. The Knicks end up in this game with more fast break points too, by 2 points over the Pacers. And you're right, because Josh Hart, man, they get him the ball, and his ability to just go right to the rim and finish. Some of the finishes he has, you're like, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
How does that just happen? So Josh Hart, I thought, was incredible. The Villanova guys, that's seemingly what we talk about every time we watch a Knicks game. DiVincenzo with some big plays late, playing some good defense too. He had to deal with Haliburton at times, and that was significant. That's a lot of energy, and you have to come up big. But it all starts with Jalen Brunson, right? Like this guy. I mean, you said at the start of this, there are times where the Knicks offense goes stagnant, and it's like, all right, this is a lot of Jalen Brunson here. It just feels like a lot of Jalen Brunson. But how do you argue against it when it's working? And it's not just tonight that it worked. What he finished with, how many points in the fourth quarter? Did he have 18 in the fourth quarter? Was that the final number? I'm double checking here. Excuse me, no, because the free throw's late. He had 21 points in the fourth quarter, 6 of 10 shooting, hit that big three. He's also 8 of 8 at the free throw line. Morgan.
Magical.
They go ISO with it, and it doesn't matter. And they'll hey, you're going to single cover him? Okay, I don't know if that's the right call. Well, late in this game, when he's got the ball, they're going ISO again. Well, the defender comes off DiVincenzo just a little bit. And what's Brunson do? He doesn't force it. He makes the right play, finds DiVincenzo, who buries the three. It was massive. It ends up being like the game winner for the Knicks tonight. He just makes the right plays.
He's one of those guys that I believe that even JJ Redick and LeBron James on their podcast had talked about, like, some of the guys you just don't blitz, some of the guys you just do not throw a double at. And Brunson is absolutely one of them because he makes the smart, quick decision. Now, we saw here late him make some, I felt like some questionable decisions when the ball was inbounded or whatever. But for the most part, when he has the ball and he is starting to create in the half-court offense and you throw a blitz at him, he's either going to make the right play, he is going to split the defenders, he's going to do something. So then what did we see the Pacers do? They started to not blitz him. They weren't doubling him, and he would just work his way down to the mid-range, hand in his face, contested, and make the most beautiful jump shot, make the most beautiful floater. Like, he doesn't even have to finish at the rim and go up against someone like Miles Turner. It is absolutely phenomenal how that guy just knows his own game so well and just has like ice in his veins, can shoot from anywhere on the floor, and in the biggest moments just steps up for his teammates.
He's done it all year.
All year.
He's done it now in the playoffs. 43 points for him in this victory. All 5 of the Knicks starters go in double figures because they play so many minutes. Hartenstein, we should mention him. He had some nice moments. 13 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Loves that floater. I feel like the floater never is nothing but net. Always has to bounce 7 times before falling in. As we look forward to game 2.
Oh, can't wait.
One thing I wanted from OG's standpoint.
Yeah.
OG played some great defense in this game. That matchup, like you said, with Siakam is going to be a lot of fun. Those two guys know each other so well, battle in practice all the time. I thought OG in the first half had some moments where he's just not decisive enough offensively. Ben Shepherd's on him a couple of times. Make your move. If you feel the double team coming, pass it. Get the ball moving. I felt like there were a couple of times he was either indecisive or played right into their hands. Like, they're going to bring the help in those situations. Make the right play or go get a bucket. Just make the right play. He's got to be more decisive and more aggressive offensively. I like that he takes open threes.
More of a force.
The Siakam matchup, I think it's just going to go back and forth. Siakam finishes with 19 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 of 16 shooting. So good at getting to his spots with that midi. But I want a little more aggressiveness from OG when those mismatches pop up.
Fair. Like be that threat, be that force, be someone else that they can rely on, because I feel like he is a good enough offensive player to do some of those things. You know, you look at even his box score tonight and you see some of those, big threes were made, 3 of 7 from 3-point land. But you're exactly right. Just be quicker. Don't be a ball stopper.
The other thing from the Knicks standpoint, I felt like when they were playing the Haliburton Turner pick and roll in the first half, they were switching it, right? They'd have Hartenstein come out, and you're going, on the surface, if Tyrese attacks that, maybe that's problematic. If he is in a spot where he's not attacking it, then keep switching it. I felt like any time they had the hard hedge or blitz, it was problematic because the help is not enough. Turner has great size, and when Hartenstein's away from the basket, that means the help has to be there perfectly. You're putting a lot of pressure on OG to get there, and the Pacers have shooting. That pick and roll is just deadly, right? We know it. They also made some mistakes in their coverage in some pick and pop situations with Turner in that first half. They got to dial that in a little bit. But one thing I'm not doing at this point, until Haliburton attacks on those switches, I'm going to go ahead and keep switching it.
Yeah. No, I hope he can turn it on. I really hope he can, because I think this series can be longer, obvious statement here, if Tyrese Haliburton can turn it on, and hopefully he's healthy. I mean, playing 36 minutes, but hopefully you can just see him do some of the things that we've seen him do during the regular season.
He has to take more than one shot in the set. I mean, 6 shots in a game?
I agree.
He took, wow. Here are the other guys who took 6 shots tonight. Nesmith, 3 of 6. Ben Shepherd took 5. Okay, so Jackson, 4 of 6. Everyone else took more shots. McConnell, Toppin, Turner, 16. Siakam, 16. Nembhard took 10. Tyrese, he's too much of an offensive threat, right? His 3-point shooting does so much. And yes, I'm going to acknowledge the Knicks defense is tough too. We have to acknowledge that. But we've seen Tyrese have big games against good defenses.
Yeah, no, and I know some of the threes that he was missing. I mean, I think even one, it was OG that ended up coming underneath the screen. He shot it, he missed it, but it was just like you got to keep shooting that. Like even though your shot has been up and down throughout this season, it still is something that this Pacers team needs to see, because it still can open up so many other opportunities for other guys throughout the course of a game.
And if I'm Carlisle, I'm leaning more into the TJ McConnell minutes. My last thing, if I'm a Pacers fan tonight, I'm obviously frustrated that you lose a game where you feel like, God, we just handled business here. Maybe a call goes this way. We have a chance. We win this game. We go up 1-0. The biggest thing I would come away with, though, the Pacers hung with this team. This did not feel like the moment was too big for the Pacers.
Agreed.
It felt like they were just as physical. The rebounding wasn't as great in the second half. The second chance points not as great in the second half. It was more in favor of the Knicks. But I felt like they showed me something tonight, that they have the ability to play in a tough environment, even when their star guy is not able to give you what he can normally give you. They competed their asses off tonight.
Agreed.
They can keep playing like this. This is going to be a series.
Hey.
Give me 7 games.
Give me 7.
Let us know what you thought about game 1. What stood out to you? What adjustments you want to see from both sides? If you're a Knicks fan, what jumped out to you? If you're a Pacers fan, how are you feeling? Let us know in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.